up, guys? Burn Fractured Boys here, recapping UFC 279 this past weekend at T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada. DIAZ versus Ferguson. What a great night of fight it was.
Yeah, Priest, what a great night of fights it was. I mean, the atmosphere from the jump was just amazing. Nate Diaz fans traveled, dude. I mean, the place was nuts.
They show out.
I mean, they almost blew the roof off that place. But we're actually excited to announce that we are starting this recap show where we're going to recap every single pay-per-view of the entire year. But we're going to pick 3 key burning moments that we saw on any fight of the card. So it could be the early prelims, the main event, main card, any fight of the night that we saw that there was a key burning moment that really changed the outcome of the fight. So Priest, let's kick it off. What was your first burning moment of UFC 279?
My first burn moment is going to be Chris Barnett versus Jake Collier. What a great fight it was, but not only was my burn moment in the fight, I believe that Chris Barnett's burn moment and my burn moment is whenever his wife passed away this last May due to an unknown rare disease. And I believe that gave the burn moment to Chris Barnett saying, you know what, I can't let this event change my life. I need to keep pushing forward. I mean, same goes to me. Whenever I was burned, I said, you know what? I can't let this traumatic event change the way my life goes, and I just need to keep pushing forward. And I believe that was my burn moment for Chris Barnett.
What a pick there, Priest. I did not think you were going to go with Chris Barnett. I thought maybe you would go with Chris inside the fight, but outside of the fight, I mean, I can't imagine what he went through. I mean, just that time, he probably wasn't even training that much.
No.
Like, that's got to be so hard to prepare for a fight and just to be mentally locked in because, I mean, MMA is such a mental sport. And for you, I mean, it took a few years for you to get back to normal. I mean, talk about a few months getting into a fight. So I'm happy for Chris Barnett, man. I love seeing those little dance moves, the front flip that he lands on his ass. He's just a character.
The dude can move to be a heavyweight. I mean, he's doing backflips and stuff. We don't really see that.
Yeah, he's very athletic.
Super athletic. I want to know what sports he played at a young age. I would love that. So, Chris, whenever you get a chance, we'd love to have you on the podcast and talk about what your childhood was, and we would love to hear for it. But congrats on your win, and congrats on being my burn moment pick.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine all the burn moments he has. I mean, just over the last few years, but I mean, as a child too, he probably went through a lot. So, like Pre said, Chris, let's get you on the podcast, man.
Yes, we have to. All right, we gotta keep this moving. Phenix, take us to your burn moment pick for UFC 279.
Priest, ever since we drove back home last night, I mean, I just could not pick one. I mean, it was so hard for me. I think there were so many burn moments of the night, but I'm going to go with a little curveball here. I'm going to go Johnny Walker, man.
Ooh.
But unlike yours, I think this actually happened in the fight. If you guys go and look at the 2-minute and 44 mark, you'll see Ion Kuntalabe is actually on top of Johnny Walker on the ground, and he's shoving his elbow in his throat. I mean, Priest, I've gotten hit in the throat with a ball. Like, I did a little bit of judo, and you kind of get hit in the throat a little bit, but I could not imagine someone shoving their elbow in your throat. So I feel like for Johnny Walker, that was that burning moment where he said, you know what, F this isn't going to happen this way. He reverses position, ends up getting the submission in the first round. So I believe that was my burn moment of UFC 279 was Johnny Walker at the 2-minute and 44 mark of the first round.
This doesn't count as my second burn moment, but I believe one of his burn moments was getting outside of that arena, wearing his fight kit. Let's talk about that. Imagine someone's walking down the strip wearing their UFC fight kit.
Yeah.
I would love to know what every person's first reaction was to that.
I mean, he still had his gloves on. He had no shoes.
Everything
was shirtless. I mean, he literally looked like he just walked out of the cage and walked onto the street. I mean, crazy. But to Dana's defense, to the UFC's defense, it was a little bit of a misunderstanding. I know since COVID, they've been trying to filter people in and out after their fights, get them out as quickly as possible. But Priest, it's been 2 years. I mean, come on. Pandemic's kind of coming to an end. COVID's kind of going away. So let the man watch a few fights. Why can't he? He wasn't cut. He wasn't bruised. Didn't take too much damage. So, I mean, you got to let the man watch a few fights.
Got to.
But that was my burn moment. Johnny Walker, man. Congrats to you for that win and a huge win against Ion Kuntalabe. But Priest, I'm going to steal the words right out of your mouth. We got to keep the show going. So what was your final burn moment of UFC 279?
my final burn moment is definitely Stockton slap Nate Diaz.
Wow.
Phenix, I'm going to keep the train rolling out of the fights. I believe that this burn moment was Friday early morning or the UFC calling Nate saying, you know what, KHAMZAT CHIMAEV this weight. And Nate at that point was probably just like, you know what, screw this. I just need to fight on Saturday. I don't care who you guys give me. I just want to fight. And that was his burn moment, saying, you know what, I have this mentality that I'm a West Coast gangster and I need to show it on Saturday night, and he did.
Wow. Priest, I mean, this is the first episode, but two burn moments.
Two burn moments
that were outside of the actual fight itself. I mean,
I just made history right
I don't know how many we're going to see that over the next few months, but I mean, I have to give it to you. I didn't even think about that for Nate Diaz. I mean, just mentally how challenging that was. I mean, just to be able to just be like, you know what, I'm just going to fight. I don't care who I fight. But yeah, that was a good pick.
For sure. I mean, going back to the fight too against Tony Ferguson, there's a lot of burn moments that I saw in there. I mean, I believe that one of his first burn moments in the fight, or my first burn moment, was that when Tony Ferguson threw that first shin kick and busted up his shin. I don't know if you guys saw, but his shin was leaking of blood, and I believe that was a burn moment for Diaz, saying, you know what, that's a good thing that happened to me. I don't have to deal with those crazy leg kicks Tony Ferguson throws, and Diaz got the done.
Wow, going with 4 burn moments this week. 2 for Nate Diaz. Man, Priest, this show's going to be awesome. I can't wait to talk about future pay-per-views. I mean, UFC 280, Abu Dhabi. Then you move into November, UFC 281. Yeah, Israel versus Alex Pieda. Just an amazing cards coming up. But that's going to do it here for UFC 279 recap. Like always, please visit his foundation at priestjamesfoundation.org. Again, that's priestjamesfoundation.org to see why this is called the Burn Factory and why we're the Burn Factory boys. So,
see you in Abu Dhabi.
We'll see you in Abu Dhabi.